Yeah, I'm ready, I think.
All right.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone, from wherever I am, my home. I'd like to call the St. Joseph County Library Board meeting to order. It's 4:15 on February the 27th. Do we have a quorum? Let me see. So I should call the roll. Alan?
Here.
Joining you.
Just here. Ann?
Here.
Terry?
Yes, here.
Christine?
Here.
Dr.
Garcia.
Garcia?
Nicole.
Nicole's your name.
Nicole. And I'm here, sort of, so we have a quorum. Our first item on our agenda is our consent agenda. You see all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items listed?
And
There?
actually, there are no grants this month.
No grants, okay. Do you have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by, is it Nicole? Christine.
Yes.
Who's ever taken this can get that for me. And seconded, all in favor?
Wait, I do have one question. It's a simple question. As you know, my favorite agenda item is declaring excess withdrawn library materials.
Absolutely.
I noticed that this month, there was a whole list of things, many more than I ever remember seeing before.
The computers.
Including, one that was listed as, museum passes. Is there any chance that we're, okay.
That's a 0.
Yeah, it was a 0.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize the list. There were just so many more things on it. It used to basically be book CDs and.
They just have it broken out. And this, isn't this the format it has been in?
Recently, probably the last 6 months, I think it's been in this format.
So I think the simplification of the board packet has brought some of these things. They're just easier to see.
Yes, okay,
Some of the changes that have happened over the last few months.
okay.
I have
So,
Go ahead. Sorry.
You do, Christine?
yes, I'm through. I just looked at it and I hadn't noticed before a few of the items, but I was running meetings for the last 6 months, so maybe I just missed it.
Harry?
Yes, I had a question on the very same thing almost. Do we pay for those museum passes?
So this is a 0 on the museum passes. So
Yes.
there's been withdrawn, but yes, we pay for museum passes.
But this seems to be 0 most of the time. Does it need to be reevaluated or promoted?
Well, this is with items deleted. So these are items withdrawn from the collections.
Okay, I misread this entirely. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is deleted. You're right. Okay, never mind. Sorry,
Yeah.
move on.
I think the only thing out of the ordinary here are these the card catalogs that are being donated to the Friends of the Library for sale over there. And
Got
those are cards that we're not using any longer.
Okay.
We have a motion on the table. All in favor for the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Actually, do I have to call the roll?
No, not for the consent agenda. You could ask any opposed.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. We shall move on to the director's report.
Okay. The very exciting thing this month for me is these kindergarten craft visits, and I know Jenny's been down there helping out, and Ron's been down there helping out. They are just so much fun to see these kids coming in. One of them came in the other day and said, I've never been someplace so beautiful. And another kid coming in said, I love this place. And they're out there playing in Tiny Town. They all get library cards. They get to check out one book. They learn how to use the self-check. And so I think this is just a really great way to get the kids using the library, teaching them how to do it. Next year, we'll see the next batch of kindergartners, and we'll just keep going until every kid has a library card. So
I can't believe we are just starting to do this, but because it's such a great idea.
yes, 55 classes, 1,200 students,
Wow.
5 and 6 year olds. Yeah. so much fun. So between that, I mean, there have been a couple of really busy days where I've been like, whew, go downstairs, see the kindergartners, and then go to the smart box where the symphony has their speakers set up and they're playing some music, and I go, okay, now I can do the rest of my day. I've seen the kindergartners, I've had a little music, I'm ready to go. We had a couple of really important and well-attended events this week. The Candace Taylor Underground Railroad. You were there, Christine. She was phenomenal.
Yes, she was.
Really good turnout, talking about the green books and her research. And then the next night, we partnered with the Jewish Federation, and they brought in the Anti-Defamation League to talk about the rise of anti-Semitism in the US. Also well-attended, really good content, really good program.
Yeah, I actually attended that event, and
I didn't see you there.
well, I was right in the middle of that. I was there.
All right.
But no, I thought it was
It was,
a really strong program.
yeah,
And it was an interesting crowd too. I mean, in addition to the Jewish community and some of the faith community, there were a lot of the Common Council and the mayor were there.
Yeah.
That was really,
Oh, that's good.
really an so it's an interesting interplay.
right. And I had been to the NAACP meeting just before, and some of the people that were at that meeting were also at this one. So I think really a lot of anti-hate stuff going on here at the library, which I think is good.
I have a question.
Sure.
This is just very minor, but it struck me. She did her research on the green books. I
So
thought
the
there was
green
only-
book would be one.
Yeah,
So she looked at all of the green books.
I thought there was only one green book.
Mm-mm.
It was published every year for 20 years.
Okay, got it.
Oh, and we learned there was also not just the one, there were a couple of other
Okay.
publications
Good.
too, but she
I
did it
learned
on
something.
the primary one that was published for the longest period of time.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
and she's a visual artist before she became an author, so photography and
I love that she called herself a cultural documentarian.
Yeah.
yeah. So, and then Science Alive, over 2,000 attendees for Science Alive. This is the biggest crowd by far since before COVID, and just, I mean, an outstanding job by the programming team. And I was here that day to crowd, like you had to do some of this walking through people. So, and again, really great partnerships, University of Notre Dame, IUSB, Girl Scouts were there. They had a little balloon that on the string that they blew up the balloon, and the balloon went across the room. Just lots of really great people and some shows. So awesome.
I attended the Silly Safari
Mhm.
and I didn't stay to pet the safari. But afterwards I walked out and there was a girl about this high and she said, "You want to have the gecko?" And I said, no, thank you. She said, "Don't be afraid."
I was around during one of the things where they brought in a burro, I think, or a donkey, and put it in the elevator. Didn't go well.
Oh, funny. Jenny and I went to Indy to participate in Indiana Library Federation's State House Day. We talked with our legislators, as well as Senator Glick, who's a big supporter. She's the only Republican who voted against SB 12 in the Judiciary Committee. That had its final opportunity for a hearing this afternoon in the full Senate. I have not heard yet whether that got a hearing. So it has been, the language has been changed so that it only removes the educational protection from school librarians, ironically, instead of public librarians as well. And then it codifies the materials reconsideration process for school libraries, which was ILF's compromise. Like, this is something school libraries do anyway. They have a process. So that was the compromise, but I don't know that it's going to make it to a vote in the Senate. Senator Glick is very opposed to it, just as sloppy law in general. So if it didn't get heard today, it's dead in the water. So it'll be back next year.
Can I just ask a question about it? Because I read it and I read through definition of materials that can't be there, they didn't seem different than they've ever been, but we live in a
Right.
different society, so things could be taken differently, but
Sure. No, materials harmful to minors and is intended to prevent pornography. But in SB 12 and the way that legislators want to use it, the definition, the concern is that the definition will be much broader.
okay. Yeah, I didn't, it seemed like the, you know, you'll know it when you see it type of, that it's kind of always been. So I
Right.
just wondered about that.
Right,
When
and,
the
and
protesters came to our,
So,
story hour, they considered a book just on a children's book to be pornography. I mean, their definition of it was
right,
different.
I read some years back where the most required high school reading book was Catcher in the Rye, and the most censored book in a very short time after was Catcher in the Rye. Just, I guess, who depends on who they think has moral authority at that moment.
yeah, and that's why there is this protection for librarians for things with artistic merit, educational merit. So why they want to remove educators from that educational protection doesn't make any sense to me. So, but it doesn't look like it's going to make it through, but it will be back next year because, and there's similar laws on the House side. ILF and their lobbyists don't seem to be concerned for the bills on the House side. And some of the legislation is in regards to performances and programs in public libraries too. So
well, I'm glad you went.
it was very educational opportunity for us too. And again, our Senator Miskotsky and Representative Bauer are big library supporters. So they're opposed to the bill, which is
Stephanie,
helpful.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
When you say it's gonna be back next year and probably the year after and the year after, what does that, how does that affect what you guys buy and how does that affect, how do you see it in the next 4 or 5 years?
I would say it doesn't affect us. I wouldn't change anything that we do because of the law.
Okay.
It gives, I think this conversation is too important to democracy, which is, and we'll get to the ULC statement on democracy that we're going to sign on to. But the kind of the whole fundamental purpose of our country is that you don't have to believe what the majority believes in order to be here. And so when you apply that to books, I mean, when you want to control books, you want to control what people think, and you can't do that. So I would just continue to do what we do and see what happens and take the challenges as they come.
And I have not heard this, so I'm just questioning. Has there been any pushback about Black History Month at any of the library stuff that we've done?
We haven't had that here, but I know some libraries, I mean, the 1619 project is a big protest book. There's been protests, of course, about Black Lives Matter, and it just, there are a lot of the materials that are in question, particularly in Florida and Texas, have to do with race issues as well as sexuality. So.
And now Virginia now as well.
Yeah. Yep, it's a concern. So to me, it doesn't change what we do. We just need to be aware so that we can be prepared to do whatever the next thing is.
Thank you.
Not on here. We are we're continuing to work with Navarre. We met today with Maurice Scott, is that his last name, from the city, and some of his team for youth violence prevention. They're going to do some training for our staff. We're having a welcome back party next Monday, which is when the 4 weeks is up. And we are going to, the staff out there being really thoughtful about how they can engage the kids and how do we create an environment that is more welcoming and more what they would like to see out there. So some of our gaming system and our games are older games. Well, what are the kids playing today and what can we do maybe to make purchases to support them? Somebody mentioned TikTok dances, so maybe we need to get a ring light and a green screen so they can do their TikTok videos. So just trying to figure out what the kids want in order to make the space more something that they want to engage in instead of just being in and out, in and out. And then some of those, what do they call them, Jenny? Their roles, student engagement.
Yeah, I think they're the violence intervention coordinators.
Yes, they will come after school once in a while, and they know a lot of the kids already, and just we tossed around a lot of ideas. They're interested in maybe running a book club and just figuring out how we can plug into what already exists in the community so that we're not reinventing the wheel. So that's all in the works.
Has there been any additional incidents at the school or near?
Not that I know of, but I wouldn't necessarily be privy to all of, the school doesn't always say what happens out there, but, and again, for the most part, most of what happens after school is typical after school kid stuff. But I know they got a new principal out there in January. He's working to implement some things, along with his culture officer. So we just want to make sure we're partnering with them, but that will end, and that will not be a regular thing that we do.
I do want to say that I think you and your staff handled this masterfully. Is that a good word? I mean, kept
Thank
it
you.
under control. Yeah.
Mary, this is Marvin. I have to call you right back. I'm in a Zoom meeting.
Alan?
It will be by phone and.
Okay, so just a question. I know we've always got security in May branch. When it comes to the branches,
Mhm.
I don't think, well, actually, I guess it's a question. Do we have routine security on a regular basis at all or any of the branches? Or
We have occasional
Okay.
security, and my preference would not to be to deal with
And then
students with
when
security.
when we have some of these programs, I know we kind of learned from the situation on my that
Mhm.
branch, where we had a program that so when we're having these programmatics at the branches, are we giving consideration then now, kind of looking at the content of the programs and trying to think through whether proactively we want to,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you think about our one book,
right?
which is Flamer. So when the author is here, we'll be very cognizant of our security
Mhm.
for that event, and yes. So short answer, yes.
Okay. Next.
And then we received yesterday in the mail a gift from an estate of nearly $80,000, which was kind and generous.
Mhm.
And we're trying to track down and see if this person has family that we can send a thank you to.
Sure.
So
Thanks.
just a really generous person, and that will do a lot for our programming, which is mostly what we would spend that on.
So I guess at some point we'll have to accept that, but can you mention that now, or do we know anything about this?
We
person?
don't, we're trying to find out. It was through the attorney.
Okay, very nice.
So that will be on next month's board
Okay,
for acceptance.
very nice.
But since it just, was it yesterday that it came in? It didn't make this board meeting, not yesterday, Friday.
Friday.
So that's it.
Question, has there been any further activity regarding the group that was claiming discrimination in use of the auditorium? I know they had filed something statewide, but I've never heard any more.
That issue has ended as far as we know. They did a request for information, and then we heard nothing further. So I'm assuming they were satisfied with our practices.
Okay, good.
You've heard the director's report. Motion to accept.
So
Start
moved.
with
Alan,
Alan? Alan, where's Alan?
seconded. Alan first and second. If we could motion with our names so that Mark, since he can't really see.
Can't see everybody. So I'll call the roll. Christine,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Nicole,
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion passes. Director's report has been accepted. Patron engagement report, is that Jenny?
Mhm.
It is.
I
All
can't
right,
see-
so
Right here, I can't see her.
Okay, so, just a few things I'm gonna highlight from the report. One, our gate count across the system increased by 24% from last year, and 18% from last month, so the increases. And so I went back and 2019 is sort of our baseline, and you know, there's still a lot of ground to make up. We're about 50% of what we were, in 2019, but LaSalle branch is the only branch that has actually increased gate count from the 2019 point. So that's an interesting reflection on how people are using the libraries now. We also saw a pretty big increase in our monthly card holder signups, which I'm going to attribute to the library cards that are going out to all those kindergartners eagerly taking their card home, and we've actually seen a lot of them return and either return their books or return to their families. So we've seen actually very significant increases in Wi-Fi computer minutes from last year. We're in the 6 and 56% increase over last year. Circulation is also up, although that's counterbalanced by much of that being because of renewals. And this is just interesting, again, look at how our use is changing. Physical circulation is actually increasing more than digital at this point in the year. And we're seeing certain platforms like Clipster, which is down by quite a lot. That's our the platform that saw the most decreases. And a lot of that is because we've switched most of our magazines to Overdrive. So that's the state of where we're at right now.
And from what we've seen from other libraries too, about 50% of pre-COVID numbers is pretty standard.
Yeah, we're not an aberration in any way. And I would say that's even extended across most of like cultural sectors. It's just anything that's indoors and just competition for time and just changing behaviors. But I think the positive note is that we are seeing like month on month increases. So we're just building ourselves back into people's routines and getting more people come out to the right, and especially in places where they might not have, neighborhoods that might not have been as frequent things and increases of branches.
And really good numbers over the same time last year.
Yep.
Mhm.
Good. Is that it?
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. I have a motion to accept the report from the patron engagement report.
So moved.
Christine,
So moved.
Terry, second.
Terry, second. It's been moved and second that we accept the report from the patron engagement from Jenny. Any questions? If not, I will call the roll. Christine,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Ellen,
Aye.
Nicole,
Hi.
Terry.
Aye.
I vote aye. Thank you. Financial report.
Good afternoon. I'm going to just go over some highlights of the report. We have the fund report and the appropriations report. Our January 2023 bank fund balance is $27,392,880.50. Significant, our deposits for the month of January were $250,980.04. Significant deposit was we had a tax deposit of $142,883.83. We had withdrawals, which includes our payroll transfers of $2,158,878.82. So that's the significant pieces of the fund report and appropriations at this time right now. We're just kind of tracking where we are, seeing, if there's any anomalies or it seems pretty standard right now. We also did receive, our capital assets report, from Buckland. So we do have that finalized so that we could finish our, yearly reporting. We have an estimated original cost for the assets of $58,177,324. And we still have construction in progress, so the buildings are not considered complete, because we do have a few outstanding items. Construction in progress is $37,152,867. Once those two are completed, we will have a total assets, including the construction, of about $95 million. Stephanie and I met with, via phone with Trust Indiana. We did talk about that at the last meeting to discuss, plans on investing with Trust Indiana going forward. We should have information on that for the March meeting. And if Stephanie wants to add anything to that, but we should be ready to, sign up and move forward with, starting some investments with that.
Good, very good. I had a question. What was it? So in the construction for the building, how many things are still outstanding?
Really, the big thing is the windows,
Widows, okay.
and we're waiting to pay a couple things. We didn't get anything this month, so Anjanette is going to chase them down next month, and we'll get most everything paid except the windows, I believe, unless I'm not remembering something.
I think that's about it.
But I think that's about it.
And my other question was about the raises for the staff and everybody. Did that go into effect in January? Does it go into effect in
January 1st.
January 1st? Okay. Very good. Any other questions for Anjanette? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the report.
And so moved. Christine, second.
I got Ann moved and Christine second. Questions? If not, I will call the roll. And I'll start with Terry this time.
Yes, aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Nicole,
Aye.
Christine,
Aye.
and
Aye.
I vote aye. We accept that report. Thank you very much. Let's see, what is next on my phone here? Any unfinished business?
None.
None. All right, new business. I'm assuming internal control certification
That would be me.
from Christy. Okay, Stephanie.
So this is a newly requested certification from the State Board of Accounts, just stating that we're doing internal controls training for all of our staff. We did send out the video again just to make sure we had everybody covered, since we do have quite a few new staff members in the last year with the reopening of this building. And then we'll make sure we have a system. We do now have a system in place for making sure everyone that's newly onboarded gets the internal controls training. And then you all will be receiving a link to that video to watch too, with the certification, just to make sure we have all of our board members covered as well. So we just need you to say, yes, we're doing that here at this board meeting.
Can you just give us 2 more sentences about what internal controls are?
Sure. Internal controls is the prevention of fraud. So it's making sure that we are not having this, what is it called? The double separation of duties.
Separation.
There we go. Separation of duties when handling money and equipment, and that we're doing inventory on things and have our capital assets list, all that sort of thing. Credit cards, who gets access to the credit cards.
Well, then I'd make a motion. If Marvin calls for a motion, I'll motion to approve. Christine.
Is this somebody to Stephanie's Is this something that we have to make a motion on that we're gonna do, or is it something that we have to do anyway?
We have to make a motion
Okay,
that the board is certifying that we are doing this.
okay, I got it. Okay, Christine, I got you. So I need a motion. So Christine's motion is to say that we're doing this.
And then we need a second, and then Alan can ask his question.
This is Ann, I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Alan, do you have a question?
So is there something like in our handbook, or when we say we've got these controls in place, is there an accepted, you need to have, like you said, you've got credit cards, you've got other situations. So when we say we've got them, does the State Board of Accounts say with respect to a political subdivision, which I guess this is what we are, we're considered a political subdivision for this purpose, that you've got to have X, Y, and Z covered, and then there's some checklist, so we know, is that something the council has taken a look at and said, yes, you need them all, or is there does the Indiana Library Association come up with a set of guidelines or standards of the State Board of Accounts when they come and do their periodic review? Do they have a checklist? I mean, how do we, when we say, yes, you've got this, how do we know that
Sure.
that the library has got this?
So
If
what
we don't
is,
even know what it is.
what is baseline required is a video created by the State Board of Accounts. So we so all staff have watched that, and some of them are rewatching it just to make sure we have all. Because HR is crossing her T's and dotting her I's. And then you all should watch that video as well. That just covers what are internal controls.
Okay,
And then in terms of the nitty gritty of internal controls, we have a lot in place. We don't have them so much written down, and that's Anjanette's big goal this year, is to get them all written down and in the same place. This is just certifying that everyone's watching the video and had that training.
And similar to policies and procedures, once they're written down and all in one place, when an auditor comes in, they're going to test your internal controls.
okay, so we're certifying, that's what you're saying, because right now, we, the duly appointed Board of Trustees, certify the training concerning internal control standard features, concerning internal controls, standards and procedures, that the training is in place as of this date for current employees, and the procedures are in place within our human resources department for new employees to receive this required training as a part of their orientation. So we're only certified with the training, not that we've actually got the controls. And you are certifying to us. So we're basically, because we don't know that ourselves, but you've told us
Right.
that. So okay,
Right.
that's fine.
Yep. And we do have a lot of internal controls in place. They're just not all written down and in the same spot.
Okay, perfect.
Any other questions? If not, I will call the roll. I will start with Terry again.
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Christine,
Aye.
Cole,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
I vote aye. Yes. All right. Next thing is certificate. It's called the Affirm the ULC Declaration on Democracy.
Yes, so last month they talked about joining Urban Libraries Council, which we've now onboarded with them. And as part of that process, they sent me this declaration of democracy and asked that our library be a signer to this document. I think it's a good idea. It's what we talked about earlier in protecting democracy, and the libraries being a part of that and access to books and materials. So I thought that would be a good thing for the board to vote on and support. So you've had this document to read, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I would say it's nicely written. I appreciate the quotes too.
So once you affirm this, I will sign us up, and we will be on Urban Library Council's website as one of the signatories of this document.
Can you explain Urban Libraries Council briefly?
Sure. So Urban Libraries Council is an association of libraries that serve urban populations. they don't have a size limit per se, but it's libraries, New York Public Library is part of it, Chicago Public Library. Boy, I can't even think of the list. 200 maybe libraries across the country. And I thought it was good for us to participate because it's a lot of libraries that deal with some of the same issues that we deal with in terms of population of unsheltered individuals using our locations and things of that sort that are there. And then there are member groups. So within that, Charles is able to be on the public safety group and they have phone calls and conversations together. I had the opportunity to meet with other directors of urban libraries over the phone virtually once a week. There's groups for HR and development, like Lisa, in terms of library development. There's not a lot of professionals in that realm, and Urban Library Councils gives her an opportunity to speak with her peers and just CFOs across the board. So I thought it was a really good opportunity for us.
Thank you. Let me see. Did I call the question? No. Do you have a motion to accept the affirmation?
This is Alan, so moved.
I have a second.
This is Nicole, I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved and second that we're going to affirm the ULC documentation on democracy. Questions? If not, I will call for the roll. Christine?
Aye.
Ann?
Aye.
Cole?
Aye.
Ellen?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
I vote aye. That's been moved and that's been accepted. And the last thing is a fee change.
That one's for Rana.
I have a proposal to update the damaged materials billing procedures. And I wish Ruth was here because I tied in the strategic plan quite a bit. It really does tie in with it, but in an effort to reduce barriers and expand access, I recommend that we update our current procedures for billing a patron when an item is returned damaged. So currently when an item is returned damaged and irreparable, a patron is charged for the full price of the item plus a $5 processing fee. And while the stated purpose of these charges is to pay for replacement items, the funds don't actually transfer into the collection development budget. So these charges can cause an inequity for patrons who are unable to pay. Therefore, I recommend eliminating the $5 processing fee and allowing patrons to pay what they can. And notes will be made in a patron's record just to prevent abuse of the new fee structure. So there would be a note in there, but so this would give them the opportunity to continue using their library card, and it supports the library's strategic plan by expanding access and building stronger community.
So let me ask a question.
Yes.
Let's say a book costs $45 and it comes back totally destroyed. Are we saying that they have to pay whatever they can rather than the
Sure.
cost of the book?
Yeah, first, a staff member would call the patron and talk to them about it and just kind of figure out if they were the source of the damage and just kind of assess the situation first. But then we would work with them to kind of figure out what they're able to pay so that they can continue to use their library card.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Any
Yeah,
other
and that varies from person to person what they're able to pay.
Any other questions?
I think it's really a good idea in terms of access, especially. And I'm glad to hear that you're doing it by talking to people. I don't know how you get at, I mean, actually, something that would not be reported. I would think that would have to be smoothed out and how you do that discussion.
I think part of our desire was to not charge people, but a lot of people have a lot of ownership of their library materials, right? And a lot of people can't afford to pay. So we wanted to give those people the opportunity to pay if they could and they wanted to. Like if my kid destroys a library book I want to pay for it. So we wanted to make a base for that. And I think just to say we have a pay what you are able to policy allows people to,
So you always say that.
we would always give them the option. Yep.
What it is, $45, and you're asking to pay what you can.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Do I have entertain a motion to approve the fee change? Do I have a
So
motion?
moved. Harry, so moved.
Harry said, "Well," do I have a second?
And
And second. It's been moved and second that we approve the fee change that has been proposed. I will call the roll. Any questions? If I call the roll? Not, I will call the roll. Start with Terry,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Cole,
Aye.
Ann,
I,
Christine.
I,
I vote aye. Approved. Very
Thank
good.
you.
I think, has any other business for the board today?
No,
Before we adjourn,
We gotta wait.
the most minor of points, I should have caught it clear back in the beginning, but in the minutes of last month, it says our next meeting is in March at the bottom. It skips February, I believe. I don't know if that needs to be corrected.
we are in February.
It didn't say the next meeting was in February. It said the next one was in March in January. I
Oh.
believe at the bottom.
On the minutes,
Yeah,
Rachel, will you just check that? Rachel,
Okay.
yes.
right here, it says next library board meeting minutes is March 27th. Next meeting is March 27th, and this was written on January 23rd. I think we skipped February.
Rachel will get that cleaned up.
Yeah, no problem. Secondly, just for what it's worth to other people that use Zoom, I've been caught here a couple times. You might want to be aware of. I'll bring it up in time for the meeting. It comes up and tells me I have to update Zoom. So then I have to sit here while all it downloads, updates, and so on, and I end up late for the meeting. So I'm going to be planning ahead, and I just thought I'd pass that on.
Thank you. And then Marvin, there are no visitors
Visitors, okay,
in the room, but we do have a news and education item.
okay, I'm all ears.
All right, Mel,
all right, hello, everyone.
you would just introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Melody Roots, and I am education and program manager here at the library. I'm excited to be here with you all today. So I have a little presentation for you. It's something that my team has been working on, and it is our SJCPL programming model. So here we go.
And Dr. Garcia, we are 1 year into having a centralized programming model. So this is fairly new. And so with anything new, you have to sort of tweak along the way. So Mel has been working on that with her team. So that's sort of the background of where we're at here.
Yes, thank you, Stephanie. So this model was developed in response to our strategic plan, and it's intended to serve three purposes. First, to bring together all of the unique entities of our library system into one tool that collaborates toward our programming goals. Secondly, to clarify processes and create a document that staff can refer back to and have their questions answered by. And thirdly, to create something long-lasting so that we can continue with consistent procedures from season to season, but also remain flexible and accommodate changes. So with that, I invite you to imagine our library system as a tree. One tree consisting of its many parts. At the bottom, we have our root system, and this root system evaluates and generates programming. And this consists of several parts in and of itself. So at the bottom, we have the main library's public service departments. We have youth services, we have customer service, and in particular, our Readers Advisory team. And we have research and digital creation, which includes local and family history and Studio 304. These departments do their own programming, they pilot programs, they try things out, they see what works and what hits. On the sides, we have programming advisory committees, and these consist of branch staff and pro staff, main staff, and coming soon, community members. The Adult Programming Advisory Committee is led by our Adult Programming Specialist, Craig Goodhue, and the Youth Programming Advisory Committee is led by Sandy Cranford, our Youth Programming Specialist. And they come together to brainstorm new ideas, evaluate past programming, and decide what kind of programming we should move forward with. And that programming moves forward to our truck, which is EdPro, the department that I manage. So EdPro develops and distributes programming. We've been doing so through a menu system. New this season, in spring, we have menus for adult, teen, and children, and the branches can choose which programming they think would work best for their locations, and we book it for them. In addition to that, we lead our big 4 main signature events, including Science Live, which we touched on earlier. We develop and lead core programs such as story times and STEAM labs, and we collaborate with our branches. So as we work on all of that programming to develop it and nurture it and lead it, we send it out to our branches. So here are 9 branch locations around the system. So the branches host our core programs and the seasonal menu programs that EdPro develops. And they also will be leading their own branch signature events that are designed to serve the unique communities that they serve. They also facilitate clubs, many of which are led by patrons themselves, and they design experiences to make their locations a fun and engaging place for people to visit. In addition to the tree, we have our outreach. So outreach is coordinated by our outreach specialist, Ari Lopez, and she is currently working on building an outreach network across our system. From the nest, so to speak, the bluebirds of happiness fly out and they drop seeds out into the community where our services and awareness of the library and our services and programs grow. And then we have our raindrops of feedback. So as we go out into the community and put on these programs and deliver outreach, we receive feedback back, not only from our patrons and the communities we serve, but also from staff. And that feedback enriches the soil and our roots and helps our tree grow ever stronger. So I will stop there. Any questions?
This is
I love
because how we were doing things.
Yeah, we were doing bits and pieces of this, kind of piecemeal and kind of inconsistently. So this takes everything that we had and gives it a structure.
Thank you.
So when you develop the core programs that they get to choose among, and then you do the presentation, or who does that? It's a mix of both. So our core programs like story times and labs are developed and led by our youth programming specialists, but they're also led by our children's librarians across the system. They pitch in and lead story times as well. So it's a mix of both. We establish that on a case by case basis.
And I have one other question. When you do things in the community, is each event evaluated?
Going forward, it will be. We currently don't have a consistent method for that, but we are in the process of developing one.
And some of those menu options are for outside presenters. So what was the one that I was just at? Rum Village had their naturalist out. And so that was one that they could choose from. And then EdPro books it for the branches.
Any other questions? I like your presentation. It's very creative. I love it.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Tree.
So the only feedback I give is it was very good. And Marvin, you and Terry probably saw that great because it probably was right on your computers and you all saw it. We across the room, those of us who might not be able to read as well as we did, I don't know if we would want to consider when we're going to do that type of program, because you did have a lot of content on there, which was good. If there's a way for it, that's not a criticism or comment with you, but I'm wondering with respect to us, if there might be a way sometimes to get either a larger projection of that, or maybe do it on multiple. maybe
Well, we're having issues today. Usually we do the presentations on both
on the bigger
screens.
screen
And
on the
then,
mobile.
but there's a technical problem.
Okay.
HDMI port.
The HDMI port's not
Yeah,
working.
I thought
so-
about actually kicking in real quickly too, just to log on, I would have better read it right on there. And that might be something we can do, since most of us have our computers now, what we may want to consider doing when we do that is.
Well, that would create a lot of feedback.
Oh, unless we-
Potentially in the
unless we
Zoom.
keep it up.
Yeah, so
You could do.
we'll work on it.
And it's just an idea, I mean, I thought that was great, and I really
Yeah.
loved the graphics, and it really told the story, but there's also a lot of content. First, I started trying to read it, and then I
Maybe
just.
maybe you're
listened.
just showing us all of your age.
I think definitely it's that. Without a doubt.
Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe I just need to go sit in front of it.
help,
You can sit on our
absolutely.
table next time.
I could do that. That would work.
Any other
Alright.
comments about age or eyesight? It was gorgeous on my screen, so I loved it. So,
Yeah.
if not, thank you for that presentation.
Thank you.
Our next board meeting is March 27th at 4:15. My plan is to be present and welcome.
And just a note, it's at River, we're scheduled for River Park branch.
I saw that. So that's on Mishawaka Avenue,
Right? Yeah, right.
yeah, right by Potawatomi.
Yes,
I use South Bend. Okay. All right.
you asked, you received.
You got it. Here, here.
Thank you. It's good to see everybody from a screen, and I hope to see you guys back next month. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So y'all will stay forever? Who's that? Was that,
Christine,
Christine.
have a second?
And I'll second.
Okay. I will call the roll. Terry,
Hi.
Alan,
Aye.
Nicole,
Aye.
Christine,
Aye.
Ann.
Aye.
I vote aye. Nice to see you guys. Meeting is adjourned. See you next month.